I was watching some video about if rune stones in North America were fake or not. But anyway, it got me wondering when they started. I thought rune stones were like little gems or something, like you see in games where a rune stone is like a stone. But they were talking more of they were like a rock uh, picked. I don't know if it's picture, but they're like from Sumer and stuff, like stills from Sumer in ancient, like around ancient Egypt. And so I was wondering if they were the same thing as like somehow that, because Scotland, I think, went down and their king's stone or whatever that is, it was stolen by England or Britain and then returned a few years ago, was a stone off of one of the pyramids. That's what I heard. It was like a piece of a chunk of the stone that they'd made a trek, and a long time ago, Scotland did trek down to ancient Egypt. I don't know what century or what millennia it was that they got this stone and then brought it back, and that was a stone. That's what I heard about what the stone was. But anyway, I'm not gonna say what it is, or I think that's what I heard. Okay, so I was figuring maybe these rune stones of Vikings or whatever, whoever had them, if they were like stills or stells or however you call them, stellas. I don't know if that's even the proper name, because if you rename something that isn't the same name as the original people called it, then you're talking trash. Anyway, I was wondering if the runestones were the same thing as stills from like Uma and Sumer and stuff like that. Then I started. Then he started talking about people moving to, or the people from like Scandinavia uh, moved to. There was a large population in Minnesota, and for some reason, popped in my head that the being the communism, socialism, and all these isms of government is more. The more you rely on government, like communism, is basically full government control, which means there's no freedom. So, and of course, it's the youngest of all the governmental types. As far as it's not like a monarchy or empire or something like that. But does people that allow themselves or are born into because before there were countries, there weren't any borders. You possibly had a village or an area that you stayed within, if you stayed within. But if you was an adventurer or possibly a hunter gatherer, or just maybe you were I don't know if it'd be out. I don't know if outlaws would be a possibility. But whatever, if you left the borders of anything like a village or whatever they'd call them, towns, kingship, before government borders, before like countries' borders, would that be more in line? The more oriented you are toward having everybody do something for you, or you're a more social unit where you need other people, the more needy you are, then that's where communism, that's where these heavy government hands come in, as opposed to, is your lineage more traced back farther before there were borders, which would make you disallow in your setting up of your life. You would want more freedom, because your lineage would be more used to not having borders. as opposed to a lineage that's not as old, that was possibly created within, when there was a government and countries had borders. So that's what I'm thinking, that the more people that were born before there were borders seek freedom, whereas people were I'm speaking lineage, people's lineage, not necessarily name lineage, maybe blood lineage or whatever. Possible whole things could have been killed off, and then people start breeding, just within borders. You're saying, well, everything traces back to the first. Yeah, if you believe that there's only one, you know, one lineage that had life. Anyway, not getting into that. I'm just saying, I was wondering if people that seek freedom are older and predate government and country borders. In other words, they were around before countries were created. They could go back to Neolithic and stuff like that, even before Neolithic. Whatever was prior to Neolithic, which I'm guessing was before there was borders. But then they say Neolithic is some sort of BC, just like 1900 BC. They're saying some things are Neolithic. So anyway, I'm stating that if you seek freedom, then your lineage possibly has ties back to pre-government, as opposed to people who are wanting communism or socialism have a less aged lineage. It means they don't go back as far. They were born within borders. I'm just wondering if there's any truth to that.